Hey everybody, welcome to the latest edition of The Tiger King. I'm your host. No wait, that's wrong. That's the wrong show. Hey, this is Diversity Sociology 213 from the street corner. Wouldn't it be cool if we were in a room together, but we can't? I'm Randy Blazak, I'm your host for this strange quarter that we're going to have. This is a new class for me. I haven't taught it before, and this is sort of a new way of teaching it, so it's all going to be kind of an experiment in action. But it's also a really great time to be tackling this issue of diversity. Why are we talking about diversity in 2020? Aren't all these problems solved? Don't we live in a diverse world? Why do we have to spend all this time talking about diversity? Well, I would throw a couple things out there for you at the beginning of this. One is we've known over the last month the amount of hate crimes and hate activity targeted towards Asian Americans has spiked in America around the issue of the coronavirus. We've seen both violence and harassment happen here in Portland. We have had Asian Americans who have gotten into Ubers and the Uber driver immediately puts on their their breathing apparatus because somehow they might be infected with the disease. We've had cases across the state, including in Umatilla, where Native Americans won't be served in restaurants because it's believed somehow they're carrying the virus. And so there's been a kind of new wave of bias that's happening. I just got a report today of police who are pulling over people who are violating the curfew or the stay in order place who just happen to be black. So is the coronavirus giving police an opportunity to do racial profiling? This is something that's happening right now as we're speaking. So there's that. We also know in the workplace the issue of diversity is really important. The people, as the workplace gets more and more diverse, people have to feel like they can be who they are in the workplace, that they don't have to hide their sexuality or their cultural background or their religion. A study came out a few years ago that found that people who can be who they are in their workplace are 4.4 more times productive in the workforce. So just from a purely capitalist perspective, if you want people to work, you want people to feel like they can be gay or they can be Muslim or they can be whoever they are and not have to hide it. And so, that's something we're going to talk about. We're also going to kind of throw out the idea that oppression, the concept of oppression is invisible to people who have privilege. The people who are white don't see racism, or people who are male don't see sexism, or people who are cisgender don't see transphobia. I mean, these are things that are just sort of invisible to people, so we have to help people to see these things, and a class like this can help us do that. We also want to talk about the issue of trauma. That trauma is something that's experienced on many levels and can be experienced by something very dramatic like the experience of war, but can also be experienced by just having to deal with BS every day that is coming from biased voices and minds. And then finally, there's the issue of, do we practice what we preach? What are our values in America? We talk about diversity, we talk about equity, we talk about inclusion, but do we actually do that? Including people who say, I'm not a racist, but, or, I'm liberal and progressive, I don't practice these things, but your behavior actually shows otherwise. So we really have a great opportunity to dive into this stuff this quarter. Just a little bit about me. I know a lot of you have had me for intro or social problems. I'm a sociologist, so we're coming from a sociological background. I work on the issue of hate crimes. My long work has been in researching why hate crimes happen and why people join hate groups. Now it's focused on the impact of hate groups. So one of the hats that I wear is I'm the vice chair of the steering committee that's implementing the new bias crime law that we have in Oregon. It really focuses on the issue of trauma that the governor signed into law last fall, and so we're really working on making that law work across the state. I also do a lot of diversity training, so now talking about diversity to government workers and lawyers and people in the private sector has been sort of something I've been spending a lot of time on. So we're going to be doing some of that in here, and also talking about how we help the community embrace diversity. What are the solutions to the problems around the issues of bias? So let me very quickly, just this introductory video, on the first day, I just want to kind of give you the kind of layout of this class to talk about what this class is going to be like in this weird setting. First of all, we got two books. We have a textbook, and I wanted to get kind of a decent textbook, and this textbook we're using is called The Meaning of Difference. And The Meaning of Difference is essentially a reader. It has a ton of good readings in it, including from friends of mine that we'll be reading to talk about various issues around immigration, around gender identity, around racism, around privilege, and it's from 2012, and I picked it because it's really good, and because it's from 2012, you should be able to find a cheap copy, because textbooks can be so overpriced. So find a cheap copy of The Meaning of Difference. Karen Rosenblum and Tony Michelle Travis are the authors, 2012. But the other book, I'm so excited, a little bit newer, came out about a year ago. It's a book called White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo. It's all about the issue of how hard it is for white people to talk about the issue of race and racism. It is inherently uncomfortable for some people to read. It's going to be provocative, it's going to push some buttons, but it's going to give us a real orientation how we talk about not only white fragility, but male fragility, hetero fragility, able-bodied fragility, to talk about how hard it is to talking about these issues of diversity. And I'm so excited that we get to read. This was a best-selling book last year. Tons of people are talking about it, and it is going to spark some serious conversations. Speaking of serious conversations, so this class is going to kind of unfold in two ways. One is I'll be doing video lectures. I might not be here in the middle of the street. I'll probably be somewhere in the house, or I guess those are the only two places I can go now. I was going to say a coffee shop or a bar, but I'm not allowed to go to those places at the moment. And so I will be uploading the videos from the class to the YouTube channel, and you will be given via email a question to answer about each lecture, each video lecture. So there will be a question. So one of the first questions might be, what does Robin DiAngelo mean by the concept of white fragility? And you'll email that back to me. But also on Wednesdays, we will be doing these sort of chats on Zoom. So when you go to your shell for the class on D2L, there should be a part that says class discussions or course meetings, something like that. And it'll be linked to a Zoom account, and hopefully everybody's downloaded Zoom, and we're going to have these sort of class discussions on noon on Wednesdays. So we'll do a live class discussion. Everybody's expected to be there, but we want students, or there's an expectation that at least one time during the quarter each student chimes in. Everybody's expected to have at least one good comment or one good question or one discussion. And I will send out the discussion questions. So we're going to try this. It's all a work in progress, so we're going to figure out how it plays out when we actually do it. But our first one is going to be on Wednesday at noon. So get your Zoom downloaded and figure out if you're going to watch it on your phone or your mom's laptop or whatever it's going to be, because we're going to try to do this first discussion on Wednesday. There's going to be a series of research exercises throughout the course. These are short papers. People that have had my other classes know the short paper are sort of a 2 to 3 page paper. Some of them are reflective, some are them asking you to go out and do some research or to evaluate a video or something like that. Those will be out throughout the quarter. And then we're going to have a midterm. We have a classic Blazak midterm, except it's going to be done take-home style. But instead of a final, we're going to do a project. We're going to do an opportunity to dive into a particular issue around diversity. It might be about transgender issues. It might be around Islamophobia. It might be around some issue that you think is important, and look at how the community responds to it, maybe some of the solutions. And so you'll be getting that assignment fairly early in the quarter, but we're doing that instead of a final, and we'll have a way of sort of sharing all that information at the end of the quarter instead of our final exam day. There's tons to cover in this class. There are so many issues. When I started putting the syllabus together, I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to get to this, or how am I going to get to this? There's really a lot of things. My focus is on hate crimes, so we're going to spend kind of a chunk of time in the middle of the quarter talking about hate crimes and hate groups, and especially how the COVID-19 issue is played into that whole world. And so that's sort of my little focus. But there are other things that you may wish we had talked about. It may be some issue around ableism, or maybe some issue around ageism, which is certainly an important issue. This will be where you get to bring your expertise and your interest in the form of your final research project. So we're going to try to make sure that everybody's interests are covered, but some of that is going to be up to you. And since this is the first time I'm teaching this class, you're actually helping to shape what this class will look like in the future. So I'm really going to rely on your feedback throughout it. So that is sort of a quick summary of what this class is going to look like. Please feel free to email me questions about the class. Let me know that you get a hold of the books or having any problems with that, or have a hard time watching the videos. but we're going to be doing it this way on every Monday and Wednesday. So Monday there'll be lecture videos uploaded and on Wednesdays we will have our Zoom discussions. All right, let's see how this works. Hope it works well. Maybe at the end of the quarter we'll have a chance to actually be in a room together. But this is gonna have to be how it is for now. Stay safe, wash your hands, and please don't hoard toilet paper. Okay, we'll see you soon. Oh, hi. Hey, I just want to add something at the end that I want to mention is that we are going to try to do this first chat classroom Zoom thing on Wednesday. So we want to make sure everybody has Zoom downloaded, and we're going to give it a try. Basically, it's just going to be an introduction to see who can chime in and see if it works, and we're going to have kind of a general conversation about the concept of white fragility. So hopefully people get access to that book and read the introduction. The introduction gives her definition of white fragility. And also we are probably going to somehow be collectively watching a documentary or two this quarter, or I may assign it. There's Cozy's here. And so, but the content for the class is going to be on the D2L shell. So please.
My big lips.
So we will, so there'll be a lot of stuff coming that way, especially the first stuff you're going to get about the end project. And I'm sort of putting all that together and I'm figuring out how we can go. So Wednesday, so there'll be a uploaded video on YouTube in the next 48 hours. And we're really going to try to do this thing on noon, I think, on YouTube. So just pay attention to, on Zoom. So just pay attention to your emails. Okay, that's.
And if you watch this, can you come to our house and fix my bow?
Did you broke your bow?
Yes.
Yeah, we want everybody to come and fix Cozy's bow.
Yeah, anybody.
What is all over your face, kid?
Chocolate from my chocolate bunny.
Okay, this is what it's going to be like. Hope everybody's doing well in your spaces. We'll be able to check in on Wednesday. Okay, chocolate face. Say goodbye, Gracie.
Goodbye.